just Aaron here, Canadian Looney, gonna try another one of these, doing something, showing you the things they don't want you to see. This, again, Tucker Carlson is a journalist who is probably, most likely the most popular journalist maybe on the planet, or most read or watched. Anyways, he's got Elon Musk. Have you heard of this guy? Yeah, well, it's really interesting. We're going to have to interrupt this interview probably with a couple of things from Canadian federal politics, because that's what my channel's about. But I do want people to see this stuff. Like, again, I'm on my channel, I try to show what I'm learning about in Canadian federal politics, and this does affect our country. Like, if these guys are talking, assure you, Canada will be affected. Let's get into it. We will give shout outs to everybody. It's really hard to focus right now on who's in the room. I'm sure that I saw that Annie G and Kirk, what's up, Captain? Mr. Pickles. I see Jenny B420, what's up? Let's get this going, and they're not showing this anywhere. There's probably a reason. Like,
I'm
probably.
You're fucked, dude. I'm fucked. If he loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like, yo,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think? Will I see my children? I don't know.
Because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but, you know, I get...
I have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know!
Well, the Kamala puppet, I call her, you know. The machine that the Kamala puppet represents.
Yeah, she's irrelevant. I mean, she's not...
I like both these guys. Like, Elon Musk is really weird. I've watched him on a couple of podcasts, well, many podcasts. I've seen him with Lex Freeman, and that's a good insight into who a person is. But Tucker Carlson also has ways of getting answers.
Not even.
No, I made a joke, which I realized I deleted, which is like, nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
Just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly. That's...
It's no point in killing.
It's deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden.
It's in...
It would be pointless.
You. Totally. You actually put that up?
Yeah. Now, some people interpreted it as though I was calling for people to
of course.
assassinate her, but I was like, no, even I was like, doesn't it seem strange that no one's even bothered to try?
It's not worth it.
I mean,
there's an endless supply.
Yeah, like nobody would. It's absurd.
It could be anybody.
It's hysterical right from the get-go. They're joking about Kamala Harris and an assassination. And this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Pickles, for the advice.
Nobody tries to assassinate a puppet.
Of course not. A marionette.
Yeah, marionette. It's just like,
It's hilarious.
Yeah. What? She's safe. Like, they try to kill Trump twice with actual guns and bullets.
Oh yeah.
He shot in the ear right in fucking Butler where I was, and
he doesn't seem rattled. It's weird. Does he to you?
It doesn't seem what?
Rattled.
He has the constitution of an ox, it seems. So it's not like working out and eating healthy. And he's...
Okay, we gotta tape this.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So
he's not like, let me eat another salad. That's not... No. Or work out, fastidiously. That's... I feel like hell he doesn't work out, and he eats, cheeseburgers and Diet Coke and stuff. And because I think it just inherently has a strong constitution.
So when you were just with him, he didn't seem like a man who'd been the subject of 2 assassination attempts.
No, he seemed of sound mind and body and strong backbone.
Did you?
I mean, that's what I said in the thing. Which,
Yeah.
The remarks I made there were impromptu. There was no teleprompter or anything. I was speaking extemporaneously.
Are you the only rich guy who doesn't have like a media consultant?
No, I don't media consultant.
Yeah, no, I've noticed.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I just thought about what I want to say, and I just spoke off the cuff. No teleprompter, nothing.
Good for you.
Yeah. I can talk. Just look like now. I'm just talking. Look at me. Wow, amazing. Can you believe it?
So what do you think? Are you pretty excited? Because I am. This is going to go on for quite a while. I don't mean to break it up so much, but, you know, we have to have our contributions. I think those are the rules.
I can talk without a teleprompter. That's crazy.
But if he loses, it's going to be hard for you to pretend you never supported him.
All in. In the deep end.
Yeah, no, you are definitely in the deep end. You cannot touch bottom.
No, I'm like rolling around. I'm like a pig in mud. I'm like, it's all in, baby.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
How hard?
I mean, there may be some, in the hopefully unlikely event that he loses, there may be some vengeance on me.
Were you kidding?
I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. You've got to be one of the biggest government contractors.
We do essential work for the government.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not like, you know, we do useful essential work.
Right.
That we compete for and win contracts on because our product is much better
Right.
and costs less. That's why we get government contracts.
No, I know.
and I mean, if you take, for example, the NASA contract to transport astronauts to and from the space station, NASA awarded 2 contracts at the start, one to Boeing and one to SpaceX. Boeing was awarded twice as much as SpaceX. SpaceX has done all the astronaut transport from the space station, and Boeing has only done one transport of 2 astronauts to the space station, and we had to bring them back. Boeing got twice as much as SpaceX. There's this total misunderstanding that my companies have been subsidized and supported by the government and get all these, and it's like, do you really think that a Biden administration is going to subsidize me?
Probably not.
Are you kidding? No. In fact, they take away every contract they possibly can. For example, there was the FCC contract to $42 billion for providing rural broadband.
Yes.
Okay. We actually first said, look, we think there shouldn't be any subsidies, so we recommend that this program just not exist. But since you're insisting that it exists, we will compete, and we have better products. So we won, I don't know, about a quarter of it, which would have included the devastated areas like North Carolina and stuff. And the FCC took it away illegally. They just voted. 3 out of 5 commissioners voted away and said, even though you want it, we're rescinding it.
On what grounds?
And do you know how many people they've connected?
How many?
0.
So, you think that was political?
Well, the 3 Democrats voted against it, right. And the 2 Republicans voted for it.
So you tried to get Starlink.
Yes.
Into North Carolina, into Western North Carolina, the areas devastated by the hurricane.
We have got it is in there, and it is the primary means of communication in the devastated areas.
You had conflict with Buttigieg over this.
Well, I
Like, just as a person that kind of makes their living off of what they do on YouTube, I'm interested to see, like, what X is going to do about this, because I didn't see any copyright violations, but this is somebody else's stuff. Like, this is from Tucker Carlson Network on X and X. But they're all about free speech, and I'm just trying to show what they wouldn't show on YouTube. Maybe that's, like, going to be a problem with YouTube? I don't think so. They're not talking. Again, sensible people can listen to people like these guys talk, right?
I raised I said, look, we had delivered. We've been delivering Starlink terminals there for a while, and obviously some people already had them since they're just, private individuals had Starlink there already. We delivered really thousands of terminals and got all the way up to the areas where they wouldn't let us go any further. And then we're like, okay, we're going to send helicopters in and find people who are stranded and give them Starlink terminals, which I think is a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. They wouldn't let us land because there was an FAA notice to M and NOTAM that said in order to land, you have to know who you're going to meet with to land. Now, the problem is we're trying to deliver internet communications. People don't have internet communications. We don't know who they are, but then they can't reach us because they don't have communications. Do you see the catch-22 here?
Yes, I do.
Insane. So it's obviously impossible for people who don't have internet communications to let us know who they are because they don't have the internet.
Yes.
Yes. And so.
Did you explain this to the federal government?
Yes.
What did
Yes.
they say?
They fixed it.
How was Buttigieg when you talked to him?
It was actually good. So I want to be
Yeah.
I want to give Buttigieg some credit here.
Yes.
First, when I complained about it, he reacted in a very level-headed way, and he reached out to me and he called me.
Yeah.
And we discussed the issue, got to the bottom of it, and he fixed it.
Good.
So credit to Buttigieg.
Yeah. Well, and to you for pushing.
So that's interesting, like just to see that there is a little bit of to and fro with this guy. He's such a rich and powerful person, but there is some going back and forth. He's giving credit to Mayor Buttigieg here. Like, come on.
It.
Yeah, I mean, so, but as soon as he was aware of the problem, he fixed it.
Well, you publicized it too on it.
Yeah.
As soon as you shamed him.
Well, but I do want to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, no, amen.
So.
I agree completely. So, but back to the original question, about the potential consequences if, having gone all in, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to have thought about this long and hard before you did it. What was your thinking?
I mean, yeah, so my view is that if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have. That the Democrats, the Dem machine, has been importing so many people, bringing in so many illegals, flying in with this like CBP border app thing that nobody even knew about, like secret program. That's illegal, basically. It's illegal, but there's no action by the DOJ to actually to stop it from happening. They're transporting large numbers of illegals to swing states. If you look at the numbers, these are the numbers from the government website. So, like from the Democrat-administered government websites. Like, where do you get this data? From the government website that is run by Democrats. And there are triple-digit increases in illegals to all the swing states. And in some cases, it's like 700% over the last 3 years. Now, these swing state margins are, sometimes 10, 20,000 votes. So what happens if you put, hundreds of thousands of people into each swing state? And when somebody is granted asylum, they are fast-tracked. They can get a green.
Does anybody feel that too many people in our country are being granted asylum? Do you think it affects our grocery prices, our housing market? Maybe they're planning against us. I don't know. Like,
Green card, and then 5 years after the green card, they can get citizenship and they can fully legally vote. And when they do so, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. And sometimes I get this rebuttal of like, well, a lot of them, their social values don't align with sort of the far left sort of woke ideology.
Yeah.
I said, that's true, but that's not their top priority. Their top priority is getting their friends and family also to the United States. And the Dems also issue all these programs, these sort of handouts, essentially, that make them beholden to the Democratic Party. So they vote Dem. That's what happens. So my prediction is if there's another 4 years of a Dem administration, they will legalize so many illegals that are there that the next election, there won't be any swing states. And we'll be a single party country, just like California is a single party state. It's a supermajority Dem state in California.
Because of immigration.
Yes. California was fairly reliably Republican.
Bill Clinton lost California in '92 and won West Virginia.
Yes. So there was a 1986 amnesty.
Yes.
Thereafter, California trended very strongly Dem, and is at this point, I think, 65-70% Dem, something like that. It's supermajority Dem. The California legislature
Yes.
is more than 2/3 Democrat.
Has it improved the state?
No.
All right, gang. We've got to cross over to something else. Like, I understand that people are disappointed, maybe not to see more Elon Musk. We'll play that at the end of the show. But for now, we're going to jump into some things that happened in Canadian federal politics today. Like, sorry to do it. I know how much fun it is to watch these guys go at it, but we can't just show their stuff. I don't think. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I've tried to find out. It varies from platform to platform, and just not looking to get into too much. Who cares? Let's play some more of this. Jesus.
It's not. And California just passed, which is shocking. It's hard to believe this is even real. But California just passed a law making it illegal to require voter ID in any election at all in California. You know that?
No.
Yeah, Newsom signed it into law last week.
It's illegal to require an ID.
In any election, even a town council. And a friend of mine who lives in Palo Alto was like, is this actually real? And he went to like vote in like some city council election. He tried to show them his ID, and they said, we're not even allowed to look at your ID.
Have they
This is
extended the same?
Actually what's going on right now.
But
By the way,
you-
they're proud of it. They're not hiding it. And
But it's
also a law.
only voting.
It's
It's not buying a gun or buying liquor or buying a pack of cigarettes or flying on an airplane or renting a hotel room. It's only voting that it's illegal to.
oh, if you try to buy a gun, I mean, they're going to ID you 6 ways a Sunday. Yeah, California's trying to make it basically illegal to own a gun. And the same people that demanded vaccine IDs for if you want to travel or do anything are the same ones who say no voter ID is required.
Is there any reason
Obviously hypocritical.
to pass a law like that except to abet voter fraud?
It's so that fraud cannot be proven. So it enables large scale fraud and no way to prove it, because how would you prove it? It's literally impossible. No ID. You're not even allowed to show your ID. It's insane.
Well, it is insane.
Insane. So, yeah. The purpose of no voter ID is obviously to conduct fraud in elections. Obviously.
There can be no other explanation.
I mean, they come up with some nice sounding thing.
People don't have IDs. Could you live in this country without an ID?
Yeah, I mean, their common rebuttal is like it's racist to require ID, and which is insane. I think it's actually racist and patronizing to say that people can't figure out how to get ID. Obviously.
But how could you live here without an ID? I don't think it's even
you
possible.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
Yeah.
you need ID for everything. Like the list of things you need ID for is basically everything, except voting. So
you see the rest of the
it's
country.
total bullshit, obviously.
Obviously.
Yes.
But that doesn't in any way minimize the aggression or self-righteousness they bring to this conversation.
Yes.
You're a racist if you want that.
Right. Whereas, in fact, obviously, someone is racist if they say that people of a particular race cannot get ID. That's patronizing and racist. That's absurd.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's like when the governor of New York said people in the ghetto don't know how to use computers or something like that. I mean, like, super out of touch.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So
It's like, hello.
So there's a really clear template.
Maybe she doesn't know how to use computers, but they do, obviously.
I don't think Hochul could use a computer.
Yeah, I don't think
She's not qualified intellectually.
Yeah, no, probably not.
But not everyone in New York is as dumb as Kathy Hochul. I think that's true.
Yeah.
So you see the other 49 states becoming California if the machine wins.
Well, you don't need all 49 to go that way. You just need enough to have the election, have there not be swing states. I mean, there are only 6 swing states.
Yep.
So there are only 6 states out of 50 right now that are in contention. So if those 6 states that are in contention by narrow margins are no longer in contention, then the only contest will be for who wins the Democratic primary. That's how it is in California. That's how it is in New York. There's no party versus party situation. The only contest is who wins the Democratic primary. And as we've seen with the appointment of Kamala, who no one voted for, even in the Democratic primary.
Yes.
Where's the democracy here?
Well, it's easier though.
I mean, it's just that the Dem
take
Party
the
elite
voters?
just decides
Yes.
who is in charge. That's a tiny oligarchy, basically.
Comprised of
That's not democracy.
the richest people in the country. That's kind of the interesting part to me, is that the richest people in the country are on board with this. I mean, that's what it is. It's a collection of billionaires.
Well,
right?
most of them are, yeah.
But you're not.
Not me, and not everyone is. I think there's, but it is a shocking number of so-called billionaires are in the Dem camp, more than are in the Republican camp.
Oh, for sure.
Which is wild. So in fact, the astonishing thing in the swing states is that they're even a contest, given that the Dems have far more money than the Republicans. So the Kamala campaign dramatically outspends the Trump campaign in the swing states. The media is overwhelmingly pro-Democrat. So you've got the press is a Dem cheering squad, so. And then you've got also almost all the Hollywood and entertainment, the celebrities also, endorsing Kamala and being pro-Dem. So you got the celebrities, they got the money, they got basically everything on the side of the Dems. The Republicans are the underdog here. Trump's the underdog in swing states, and still it's a contentious. It's still a 50-50. After all that,
What does that tell you?
it tells me that if people actually knew what was going on, they weren't being fed nonstop propaganda, it would be a landslide in favor of Republicans.
Yeah.
Well, how's this for crazy? Has there ever been a more volatile time in American politics? Not in our lifetimes. No one alive has ever seen anything like it.
Tucker Carlson is doing his crossover where he's telling his audience to watch him because it's an important time right now. Gonna kind of copycat Tucker right there and say that in our country, again, how valuable is your vote in the United States? It's not valuable there at all. So we need to look again, that's a lesson I learned pretty early. If you don't care about your municipality and your province, how can you care about your country, right? So focus on the things that you can change where the votes really count. In Canada right now, federally, it is very important for your vote. Just, that's my opinion. I don't know. Maybe you don't think it's important. I'm pretty sure most of the people that are watching right now think their vote is going to be very valuable in the next federal Canadian election. Anyhow, we'll get back to Tucker and Elon. They are great. They're having a good time too, I think. Or enjoying themselves. Is that red wine or is that Coca-Cola?
By getting on stage with Trump and I mean, you must have had friends who said that to you.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But people who care about you. Like, why even get involved in this?
Well, because I think we want to remain a democracy, and we don't want to become a one-party state.
Yes.
That's the reason. And it's the exact opposite. The people call Trump a threat to democracy. The people who are saying Trump's a threat to democracy are themselves the threat to democracy.
Yes.
One-party rule is not democracy. One party where essentially the party elite pick a candidate, as happened with Kamala, is not democracy. Where did the people vote? Show me where the people voted. No, there were no people voting. It was all just Dem party elite that just appointed someone. And when the Biden puppet, when the pro-Biden puppet's ratings sagged, they knocked him in the back immediately and just tossed him out and put a new puppet on. That's exactly what happened. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, not only you're right, I mean, it's almost not even worth criticizing Kamala Harris.
No, exactly.
What does she have to do with it?
There's no point in criticizing Kamala. She's simply the face of a much larger machine.
Yes.
And she will say whatever the teleprompter, whatever's on the teleprompter, she's going to say it.
Yes.
Now she gets stuck if the teleprompter breaks. That happened recently. I think the teleprompter stalled, and she just.
This is my take on Tucker Carlson. I don't think he was always. I think that in the middle of his career, he became overwhelmed by the money and got really, really rich. Now he's so rich that it's all that's left is honesty. When he started, he probably was a journalist and then was compromised and conflicted for a long period of time. I remember myself, I was not a fan of Tucker Carlson. I could hardly watch him. He'd be somebody that I'd make jokes about. But over time, he changed. A bad breakup with Fox. He had to go independent. And now, I guess when you're, hundreds of millions of dollars rich, it's different than being independent. You know what I mean? Tucker Carlson has more than $500 a month to spend on his budget. I wish I had $500. Anyhow, we're going to cross over, guys. We're going into something different. I think I'm going to hopefully don't lose some people, but this is Question Period Canada from today. What happened in Canadian federal politics. We're going to take a peek again at Melanie Joly. She's been showing herself more than she should. For a chick that's that blown out after a wild weekend in France, you need a couple of days to recover, girl. Doesn't seem to be aware of that. Anyhow, we'll get into some regular Canadian federal politics. This is going to be the entire question period without. And again, I just didn't have a chance to watch any of the committees today, just too busy. We've got this one piece we're going to watch with Angelina Jolie and Karina Gould that is so terrible. Karina Gould is a piece of shit. And then we're going to watch NDP leader Jagmeet Singh sink himself. He gets buried in a scrum here. Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of French. I haven't edited it out yet. We'll just skip that. Anyhow, right into those. These are the pieces we're going to watch.
Okay, good to see you. I'll start in English and then I'll go to French. So first and foremost, of course, I would like to reiterate how much I personally and this government is against any form of anti-Semitism. And we know that there's been a rise of anti-Semitism across this country. It has worsened since October 7th. We've heard from the Jewish community from coast to coast to coast how much this was a problem. And we need to continue to fight every day, working with mayors across the country, working with premiers. And of course, we have, as a government, to do a better job. And we all have to do a better job, everyone in the House of Commons. And so we'll continue to denounce any form of anti-Semitism that is happening on our streets, in our schools, against hospitals, synagogues, etc. Why? Because we, as a government, believe also in the Charter, in the fact that freedoms need to be protected, not only freedom to speech, but also freedom from intimidation, violence, discrimination. Now, when it comes to the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre himself, let me be clear. What we saw yesterday was the height of hypocrisy. Clearly, Poilievre is doing one thing and saying one thing, and he's doing another. I'll give you 3 examples. First, while he's saying that he's fighting anti-Semitism, he never condemned those who were waving a Nazi flag during the Freedom Convoy on this Parliament Hill. Why didn't he? Second, he cozies up to groups like Diagolon, who spread neo-fascist ideology across this country. Why does he denounce their anti-Semitism as well? And also, when his caucus met with far-right politicians from Germany that were downplaying Hitler's crimes, he kept them in his caucus, and they're still sitting next to him in the House of Commons. So clearly, what we're seeing is that Pierre Poilievre is about double standards, and he's about himself, his own political gain, and ultimately, he's unfit to govern this country. I'll say it in French.
I just want to reiterate a couple of things that Minister Joly said. It is unacceptable and it is wrong to see anti-Semitic protests in our streets. And it is wrong to denounce Canada and to say the things that we heard over the past 24 hours in our country. But when it comes to Mr. Poilievre, he is lying to Canadians when he is talking about what is happening in the chamber. He is pretending that what is going on in there is something completely different than what it is, which is a conservative filibuster of conservative obstruction. The Speaker of the House was extremely clear when he ruled on the conservative question of privilege. He said that because of the extraordinary circumstances, this should go to committee for further study. There is only one political party that is holding things up in the House of Commons right now, and that is the Conservative Party of Canada, because they are afraid that if this study goes to committee, what they will hear from experts is that this is an egregious abuse of power. But this is a consistent pattern with Pierre Poilievre and his Conservative Party, where they obstruct the truth, they try to spin away from reality, but the facts don't lie. The facts are, and any one of you can go and read this testimony, this ruling from the Speaker, where he clearly states that this matter should be referred to the Procedure and House Affairs Committee for further study. And Mr. Poilievre doesn't want that to happen, because when that happens, expert after expert will come out and say that this is an egregious abuse of power by the Conservatives. And just because the House has the right to do it does not mean that it should.
Be made into a terrorist organization?
Of course. I've been calling upon that for the last year, and there's a national security review.
We watched this already this afternoon. We're going to get rid of that. But we've got this interview to show with Jagmeet Singh. I'm sorry.
Je vais commencer en français aujourd'hui avec des mots d'ouverture. Donc, c'est clair pour néo-démocrates, pour moi personnellement, je crois profondément.
So he's talking his bullshit French, as he usually does, because he avoids being who he is. He's from Burnaby, BC. That's where he represents. And all this French, how much French do you think they speak in Burnaby, BC? Represent your people. Such a crock. Look at how much I have to skip just to try to find a portion. Here we go. Sorry, here we go. A little bit of English coming up. What? God damn it. He sucks in every way. Boulerice is worse. Here we go. Finally.
What are you willing to do to get the House business back on this table in Parliament? Right now, we're just dealing with this debate. What are you willing to do? Are you willing to work with the Liberals to give them a time allocation? How will we get back?
He's such a fake, guys. Like, I'm not going to lie. I've watched a lot of politics today. I've watched a lot of politics this year. And I'm frustrated with a guy like Jagmeet Singh that is still deceiving my mom. She watches the news and she thinks, oh, no, well, maybe he's changing. Sellout Singh.
Back to parliamentary business.
So right now, the Liberals have to do two things. And we support making sure the government's held to account. They've got to release documents, release the documents. There's nothing that stops them from releasing those documents. They should move ahead and release those documents. They should be held to account. And secondly, the issue that relates to Minister Boissonneau. Absolutely, he should be held to account, and his colleagues should be held to account and brought before Parliament to explain why he's not justifying these text messages that make no sense. So the ball is in the government's court. They could do the right thing, move forward on accountability, and Parliament can move ahead. It is also very clear, and you're absolutely right to critique the Conservatives. They are, as one of my House leader says, agents of chaos. No interest in letting Parliament work. No interest in ensuring that people get any help. No interest in seeing bills move forward. That's true. But the Liberals should just provide the documents and ensure there's accountability, and we can move forward.
Why are you going along with it? This is the act of agents of chaos.
It's very clear that Poilievre from the beginning has not wanted anything to move forward. He's not proposed a single idea in a minority government that has improved people's lives. He's not been able to get anything done in a minority government. He has no desire to actually improve people's lives. We have shown that we've used Parliament to get people the help they need on dental care. Pharmacare is going to be passed as likely as early as tomorrow. And we want to see provinces, negotiations happen, and see provinces receive free medication for people living with diabetes. We want to see people get free birth control. Conservatives clearly don't want that to happen. They're blocking everything. And so what we believe is, we believe that we want to see Parliament work. The Liberals, though, have to be held to account. Justin Trudeau and the Liberals have to provide documents and ensure there's accountability with their minister, and we can move forward.
Then what is your party doing to end the blockage? Are you working on a closure motion?
The Liberals have to provide documents and ensure that there's accountability for their minister, and we can move forward.
Une fois que le projet de loi sur l'assurance médicaments va être adopté.
What is up with the amount of French on Cpac? I was thinking about this today. Like, so there's, 40 million people about in Canada? How many of them are French? How many of them are francophone, or how many of them are bilingual? How many people in Canada are English, anglophone, bilingual? And I'm guessing that they spend, again, I'm not cross at the French, but I don't like the translators, and I don't like how the phony MPs that represent English-based ridings, like, And Poiliev gets me this way too, because it's fake. He's trying to appeal to something that it's really challenging for me to wrap my mind around. I know that there are densely populated areas like throughout the belt in Ontario and in Quebec, but I still don't understand this bullshit speaking French. Not all the time, but it's more than half the time.
Est-ce que vous allez
Anyways, guys, we're going to cross into question period. We've got that ready to
Leader
go.
of the opposition.
Conservatives would have liked to be working today to counter the doubling of housing costs this Prime Minister has caused, or the record food price inflation, which has been 36% higher in Canada than in the US. But unfortunately, the Prime Minister has paralyzed Parliament by refusing your ruling directing his government to turn over evidence in the $400 million green slush fund scandal that the Auditor General says involves 186 conflicts of interest, with the chair of the fund found guilty. What has he got to hide?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition is not being truthful with Canadians. It is the RCMP Commissioner himself who said the RCMP's ability to receive and use information obtained through this production order and under the compulsory powers afforded by the Auditor General Act in the course of a criminal investigation could give rise to concerns under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It is therefore highly unlikely that any information obtained by the RCMP under the motion where privacy interests exist could be used to support a criminal prosecution or further a criminal investigation. Mr. Speaker, let's get this.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This is a $400 million scandal involving Liberal appointees giving millions of dollars to their own companies, and the minister's story is now changing. Last week, she claimed that the government had given documents to the RCMP. This week, they claim that if they gave documents to the RCMP, it would cause the Charter of Rights to come crashing down. It sounds like there's a new story every week to justify paralyzing Parliament to cover up the truth. What is in these documents about this $400 million scandal that the Prime Minister is so afraid of?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
This is a typical witch hunt from the Leader of the Opposition to go after people who have nothing to do with this. These are files such as personnel files that contain private information of individuals who have nothing to do with what is going on. Mr. Speaker, it is the RCMP and the Auditor General themselves who raised concerns with this motion, and it is the government's view that we should send this to committee so that we can get on with the important work of this House and protect the rights of Canadians.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
A witch hunt. The Ethics Commissioner appointed by this government has found the chair of the fund in violation of the law. The Auditor General, also appointed by this government, says there were 186 conflicts of interest involving Liberal appointees giving millions of dollars to their own companies. $400 million. Potential criminality, according to the main whistleblower in the scandal. Any other employer would voluntarily turn over all the evidence to the police if it had been ripped off by its own staff. What is the Prime Minister hiding?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, if and when the police request that information, it will obviously be handed over because that is proper judicial process. But when it is Parliament that is doing it, this is where Canadians should be concerned, Mr. Speaker, because when he is going after the rights of other Canadians, it's only a matter of time before his political vendettas come after the rights of all Canadians. Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Burnaby South.
You won't believe this,
Corporate landlords are using AI technology to rip off renters. They're jacking up rent. Now, the United States is taking legal action against this, but the Liberals are letting it happen here in Canada. Now, I know the Conservatives don't care because their chief advisor is also a chief lobbyist for corporate landlords. But what's the Liberals' excuse?
The Honourable Minister for Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable colleague for his question and his concern for the rising cost of rent, which I completely agree is a very serious issue. Where we differ is we're not satisfied with just launching complaints on the floor of the House of Commons. We want to advance policies that actually put solutions on the table that make a meaningful difference for families. That's why we're putting measures in place to help build more homes, like cutting taxes on apartment construction. It's why we're increasing investments to build more affordable housing, and it's why we put a Renters' Bill of Rights on the table to help protect renters in precarious situations. I only wish the NDP would care enough to join us in trying to do something about the problem.
Then I have Deputy Burnaby.
The Honourable Member of Burnaby South.
Excuses are way cheaper than rent. Shamattawa First Nation has had undrinkable water since 2018. And this Liberal government is fighting them in court, arguing that they do not have a legal responsibility to clean the water. They're also arguing that when a minister says something, that's just politics. That's not something you have to believe that they're actually going to do. Will the Liberals call off the lawyers and clean up the water?
The Honourable Minister for Indigenous Services.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's exactly what we've been doing over the last 9 years, cleaning up the mess that the Conservatives left behind with over $8 billion in investments in clean water operation plants across the country, Mr. Speaker. And we have legislation, incidentally, tied up in committee. Hopefully it will get to this House shortly. I will be testifying tomorrow about the legislation. There are hundreds of chiefs that have called on the NDP and the Conservatives to get this legislation moving through the House, so we never go back to that time again.
The Honourable Member from New Westminster Burnaby knows what I'm about to say, so I'm going to ask him to please not take the mic unless recognised. The Honourable Member from Haldimand, Norfolk.
After 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and now time is up. Mr. Speaker, you ruled that the government has violated the House order to turn over evidence to the RCMP related to the $400 million Green Slush Fund scandal. Yet, the Liberal government continues to obstruct justice by refusing to turn over these documents. When will they end this cover-up and let the House focus on solving the housing, food, and inflation crisis that they created?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What the member opposite is saying is absolutely false. It is the Conservatives who are filibustering their own motion in this House, because it is the RCMP and the Auditor General who have both raised their extreme discomfort with the motion that the Conservatives have put forward. If the Conservatives want to get back to work, we are ready to send this to committee to make sure that we can talk about the issues that matter to Canadians. That's what Liberals are here to do. We don't understand why Conservatives don't want to do that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Haldimand, Norfolk.
The truth is, it is the Liberal government that is obstructing justice and holding Parliament in contempt by refusing to hand over documents to the RCMP. Now we know why. The Auditor General has found that the Liberal-appointed board members gave nearly $400 million to their own companies. This is happening at a time when Canadians can barely afford food to eat and poverty diseases like scurvy have resurfaced in this country. Will the NDP Liberals take accountability and just hand over those documents to the Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, 3 times in this question period I've heard the Conservatives talking about obstructing justice. Let's just talk about how justice works in this country. When law enforcement wants to prosecute an individual, they...
Colleagues, I'm going to invite the Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General to start from the top.
Mr. Speaker, 3 times in this question period so far, I've heard Conservatives talking about obstructing justice. Let's talk about how justice actually operates in a democracy. Law enforcement has a reasonable suspicion about an individual or an entity. They then go and seek a search warrant from a court so that they can invade that person's privacy and obtain the documents. Instead of pursuing the normal court processes, we have Conservatives saying we're going to subvert all of that for the purposes of partisan gain. This is what we do in a democracy. We stand up for judicial processes and we stand up for the Charter of Rights. We will always do that on this side of the House.
I'm not able to hear all comments, but I did hear the comments from the member from Glengarry Prescott Russell. Asked him not to take the microphone until he's recognized by the Speaker. The honourable member from Dufferin-Caledon.
Taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, time is up, and corruption is off the charts. A fish rots from the head down. So is it any wonder that Liberal cronies appointed to the Green slide?
I'm really sorry, gang. I'm gonna wrap up. Exhausted and fed up. That is it. Too much Karina Gould, too much. I watch a lot, and that is it. We are wrapping up. I'm sorry, gang. I got running on empty right here. Instead of breaking down, I'm just going. We're out. Take care, gang. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to all the new people that were watching this evening. We'll be back tomorrow. Should be a great show.